a member of the public contacted me concerning the electric meter on the front, right on the front of 186 Main Street, and I am in correspondence, no, I am in conversation with Pedro, our building inspector, code enforcement officer. I have not seen anything on the plan sets that I have that specified at all where they were going to locate their electric meter, and it's a big one. So I have asked Pedro to look at the plans and see if he can find if that had ever been specified or if we just missed it. So I'm still working on that because it's pretty unsightly right now. And I don't know that if it was something that if they never specified and we never asked them the location, that maybe we can make some suggestions as far as how they can shield it the way that we do with other unsightly things in the historic district, such as, what do you call the things? Well, vent stacks, heat pumps, things like that. Sometimes we have to suggest that people put up a shield or a fence or a screen or a bush or something. So that's my only correspondence right now that I am in the middle of.
Is it a single meter or multiple meters?
It's big and it's multiple, yeah, and it's right on the face of the front of the building. So I'm still working on that, and I will keep you apprised of that situation. But as I said, in all of the plan sets that I have, and there are a lot of them, it doesn't really specify. And I think it was because they weren't going to change too much as far as the appearance of the building. Mostly it's the interior plans that I have. So I'm going to work on that some more, okay? Did everyone get the minutes that I sent out? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes. And thank you, Cindy, for those. Does anyone have any corrections or suggestions or anything like that?
No.
No?
No. I make a motion we accept the minutes of,
Oh, thank you. You're welcome.
I make a motion we accept the minutes of April 8th.
Second.
Motion made by Virginia, seconded by Madeline. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approval of the minutes as written?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. Okay. That was unanimous. Town board updates. First off is the select board.
I have a few things. I'm sure everyone is anxious to have the front of the building open. We had the railings, the last thing we're waiting on is the railings. We had them delivered and they were not manufactured to spec. So fortunately we caught it, and it's going back and forth between the architect and the contractor, and we hope to have it resolved on, the board approved one thing and then what was delivered was not it. So there's some issues going back and forth, and we're hope to have that resolved soon. So stay tuned for when they're installed, because then we're going to have a ribbon cutting and then we can all use the front stairs again, and that will be fantastic. Yay. So that's the last thing we're waiting on. And then only because it was brought before the board, the electrical work on the planes, right? The contract was awarded last night at our meeting to a local company, Kingston Electric. The work won't start until after the test wells are dug by Sanborn Head. So right. That work still won't get done till the end of kind of the summer, beginning of the fall. But that's on track, so I think that's it. Sure.
When are they supposed to start the test wells?
Not till like, the mic's on.
You have to talk into it louder.
Good question. I'll have to get back to you. I feel like it's not until July, August timeframe.
Will that affect any events going on during the week that Kingston Days normally is?
There are no scheduled events on the plains this summer.
There will be very quickly.
I'm sorry?
There will be very soon.
The select board has not seen any special event requests?
Yeah, it's coming.
Okay.
So that's why I'm curious.
Excuse me, Lori,
Yeah.
except for the 31st of May.
Well,
is the-
yes, except for the 300th anniversary, and that won't be impacted. The electric on the plains has been shut off, except the bandstand is separate, it's on a separate circuit. So any work they're doing is on, from the firehouse down, mostly on the biggest part, and the electric that was there has been disconnected. So there's no electric out there, even the old stuff. So, but to answer your question, the select board has not seen any requests for events on the plains. So whatever is being requested, we're gonna have to coordinate that with Sanborn Head and when they're doing their work.
Okay.
Okay?
And Peter Bakey mentioned when he was here last month that any events that might require electric possibly could use the service that's at the bandstand. So sort of, did he mention, I thought I understood that.
It would depend on what the event is and if they want to use that part of the plains.
Okay.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know that if they want to use the center part and the electric, the panels
Yes.
on the other part, you know, that, or they, you know, a lot of people bring their own generators, right? So it really is dependent on the event.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Do we have a planning board update?
Well, next meeting, we're doing, sorry, thank you. Next meeting, we're doing, taking a long look, I guess, at the master plan,
Okay.
which you'd like to come. I'm sure there's stuff downtown that they would like to discuss at some point. It's always mystified me, the master plan. I've seen it, a lot of great ideas in there. I'm interested to find out how they want to act on some of those. I've always been a one-way guy on the, like,
Yeah,
I like the one-way
yeah.
circle a lot, sorry.
Yeah. So that's the next meeting?
Yep,
Which is, do you know what night? that
20th, I
is?
think, 20.
May,
Yep,
May 20th. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, wasn't that based on, we did Envision Kingston twice, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the townspeople all got together for a weekend and threw out ideas on how they'd like to see the town.
Yep.
They came up with the master plan, or edits to it.
So I think there's the master plan and then there's two Envision Kingstons, which are separate things.
Yes, but they
Yeah.
use that too.
Right, and I
Send
know
it to
that
them.
it was budgeted for the master plan, so I think they're planning on sending out an RFP soon for that.
Oh, all right. Nice.
Yep.
Do we have a Heritage Commission update,
I
Virginia?
do. I went to the Heritage Commission meeting, and they've got quite a bit going on. Ernie has been the chair for quite a long time, and he said that was enough. And so Bob Bean is the new chair, Gloria is the vice chair. So they have their projects and they're going along doing lots of things, and Bob Bean's been the vice chair for a long time. I had read this or given you a paper about this quite a while ago, but as a wrap-up, Ernie had, I want to make sure I get this on, because I think it's really important. It took a long time for the Heritage Commission to really get some traction in town and get going and doing things, and should they have their own budget and, all the things they went through, but they've done many things, and people think of the bandstand, but many, many more things. And so before Ernie left, he made a poster. This is as of April 2025. I'm sorry, I can't tell you when they first started. And I'm not gonna read them all, but I wanted to show you how many good things the Heritage Commission has been working on Many of these are through grant applications, and so they've sometimes matching funds for the town, sometimes not, and gives the names of the people who have been involved for over these years, and I think it's really quite, it deserves a lot of congratulations and merit for all the things that they've done, and as Dan was saying, we need more volunteers. It's really been quite a small group of people who have done all these many things, and
Read off some.
I'll read a few. Worked with a road agent on completing the bandstand rehabilitation secured with an LCHIP grant. Digitized historic inventories and area forms for placement on the town website. Worked up with road agent on rehabilitation of masonry on the Nichols building. I'll do another one. Supported selectmen in processing discretionary preservation easements. Promoted and supported Josiah Bartlett, an extraordinary man at the 325th town celebration. Leading the multi-committee effort to help rehabilitate the Plains Cemetery, having cleaned over 400 gravestones to date. So that's just a few, and that leads me to the celebration. So I am on that 300th celebration committee, and that will be on the Plains, right around the bandstand, right near where there is power, Laurie. At 10 o'clock in the morning, there is a guided tour done by Glenn Knobloch through the Plains Cemetery, and then there's a celebration event right by the bandstand with letters of commendation from the governor, from the Heritage Commissions, all sorts of folks, and a few people speaking. And then there's cutting of the cake and refreshments, and then there's an afternoon tour from 1 to 3:30, 1 to 2:30. And it will be a sunny day.
Yes, it will.
Because there is no rain date.
Yes.
Glenn Knobloch is not available the next day.
Right.
If it does happen to rain, he has a series of PowerPoints, and that's what you were just watching.
Okay.
Ernie is learning how to do that you can watch inside here. And then we'll squeeze all the people in, and the celebration cake and all the everything.
Oh, nice.
So we're really hoping that the railings are available for that day.
No pressure, yeah.
No pressure.
And that's
but
May 30th?
May 31st.
31st.
It's Saturday, May 31st, so it's the weekend after the formal Memorial Day weekend.
Okay.
So a lot of work has gone into that.
I'm going to interrupt you.
Yes.
First, I did send you, I'm pretty sure I forwarded on the email from Ernie or Bob about that. There are signups for those walks, right?
Yes, and they're really hoping that people will sign up online, and you really need to be signed up to go on one of the tours, 10 to 11:30.
And one.
And then
It's
1 to 2:30.
1 to 2:30, okay. But there's lots of other things going on. So there's going to be a table for community associations, for boards and committees, for the Lake Association, for anyone who wants to advertise who they are and what they do in the town. So I had Susan downstairs today made copies of our walking tour, so that we can put that there. I don't think anything I don't think we have anything else that's a pamphlet about the Historic District Commission, but that is the walking tour, so I'm gonna have that on that information table.
Where's that table going to be located?
On the Plains, they're going to have several pop-up tents.
I see, okay.
And the tables will be there and have signs on them, and we hope people will put their information there.
Do you have to sign up with somebody to put stuff out there, or you can just bring it?
Just bring it.
Okay.
Bring it Saturday morning.
Okay.
We'll be doing most of the major setting up on Friday.
Okay.
And the final setting up on Saturday. Gotten a lot of support from the DPW. If I ever get over the allergies here, I might clear my head to speak in a coherent sentence. They have put a great big stone by the entrance to the cemetery with a National Heritage, the National Registry plaque that's going to go on that.
Nice.
The old well has all been redone.
Oh, and it
where
looks
the path
fantastic.
is there. It's really, it looks great. So the Heritage Commission and those of us who've joined that, the library, Melissa in the library is helping a lot as well. A lot of work has gone into it, so sign up to help if you can on Friday, and sign up for sure for a tour. It's so fascinating. And my Mother's Day treat was I was released from all responsibilities so I could wash gravestones on Mother's Day.
Nice,
So I
very
said to my
nice.
children, if you're looking for me, I'm in the cemetery, but not permanently. So it's quite,
Nice.
it's really quite an event. So that's my news.
Thank you.
Kind of long, but
Thank
great.
you. Excellent. So we're going to move right along to our public hearing segment of this evening. And Madeline, I'm going to ask you in a minute to read this into the record, okay? So,
Let me pass these around to you guys. Big
Okay.
one.
there are more copies up back if you're interested. I'm going to just read this quickly. At tonight's public hearing, all right, so first we're going to open the public hearing at 7:20 p.m. At tonight's public hearing, we will consider changes to the Historic District Commission ordinances. This hearing was legally noticed pursuant to RSA 676.8-9, at least 10 days in advance of the meeting, and nope, doesn't have to do with the butters this time, so that's good. If you wish to speak tonight in support of or in opposition to these changes, please use the sign-up sheet located at the back of the room. I'm going to read into the record, Madeline's going to read into the record the proposed changes, and then I'm going to go over some ground rules. And then those who have signed up on the sign-up sheet will be given the opportunity to speak. So Madeline, you could read that, please, that would be great. Or
Okay.
just give us an overview.
Yeah, here's the overview.
Okay.
So in March, the planning board had put through on, we all voted for the changes in height for buildings in throughout the whole town. So it affected the Historic District Ordinance 102. And so because that's changed, we have to have our regulations reflect those changes. So in our regulations, there are two places where the height of buildings is mentioned. So I'm just going to read. We're not changing anything except the number. It used to be 35 feet. It's now changed to 40 feet. So I'm going to read what we're proposing. It's the exact same language that's in our regulations today. And I'm just going to read it as if we've added 40 feet to it. So here's what it is. 1201, is it too close to my papers? I'm sorry. Article 1201.10.b.2 states new construction must be in harmony and compatible with the height and width of adjacent and/or surrounding buildings, the true height of a new building, the actual point in space where a building's roof line should naturally terminate as calculated by generally accepted architectural design practices, shall not be more than 10% higher than the average height of adjacent structures or those that share the streetscape, and in no instance will be greater than 40 feet. So before it said 35 feet, and now that the town has voted for 40 feet, we've changed that number to 40 feet. The other location is Article 1201.10.f scale. It reads, Story heights of new construction or additions to existing buildings shall not be 10% over or under the average height of adjacent buildings within a 250 radius of the center of the parcel, and in no instance will be greater than 40 feet. So it used to state 35 feet, and we're changing it, upgrading it to 40 feet. That's it.
Okay. Do we have any board discussion on this?
And so the word buildings is added because it seemed to have been left out. Oh, no, I see, it's just the parentheses is done differently.
Yes,
Of
yes.
adjacent buildings, and then the parenthetical information is after the word buildings. Okay, very good.
Do we have any members of the public that signed up to speak? No? Okay. So I don't even have to read over the ground rules at this point, so that's fine. If we have no public comment, then I think that we can just bring this to a vote. Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Would somebody like to bring a motion to the table, please?
I make a motion that we we accept the two changes as read by Madeline Willett to bring our regulation language and coordinate it with the updates made by the planning board this year.
Motion made by Virginia. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Lori. Thank you. There's no further discussion. All in favor of the changes to our regulations?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
That's it.
Thank you. Excellent. So the public hearing segment of this evening is closed at 7:25 p.m.
So now we need to forward this to get it updated with the other regulations.
And there's been a little bit of changing around downstairs still, or who would we send that to? Is it Robin?
It would still go to Robin.
Still goes to Robin? Would you mind doing that?
Absolutely, I've got
Thank
it on
you.
my
Yep,
system.
she'll take care of that.
Thank you.
To Robin.
That was one thing, I have to go back, that I forgot to mention, that we, our finance director, finance/HR director, Paula Mahoney, resigned, and her last day was Friday, and started on Monday. Marissa Frederico, who was our human services director, is currently filling that role. She has a finance background, and she was serving as the finance backup. The role has been split out. It's just now a finance role, and we're taking off all of the other duties as assigned, and so there'll be a couple more changes in personnel, but right now, anything finance related, you just go with Marissa, and she'll be the point person. So she's the finance officer.
Will there be someone covering for human resources?
We are currently, we do not have somebody identified for human resources. We are working that. For human services.
Excuse me, I meant.
And they are, I mean, we get them confused all of the time. So human services, i.e. welfare, is a responsibility of the select board. And so Ellen Faulkner, who used to be the human services director, is going to fulfill that role part-time, not as a paid position, just as a part of her select woman duties, until we can make that final adjustment there too, so.
But still keeping an eye out for somebody to come in and
Absolutely.
take that over.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. So the only kind of permanent change, if you will, is Marissa is fulfilling the role as finance officer right now, and there's just some other things that are, other pieces that have to fall into place.
Okay, good, thank you.
Good.
Yep.
Now, we have some applications to go over. This is the first one you're going to have to share, okay? We'll get you a mic. Yeah.
He wants them to sit on the corner.
you
If
might
it's on
show.
green, that means it's on?
Yes.
Susan, I printed out a bigger.
Oh, good, thank you. So you all remember Dave, Karen, were you here then too? You were here
was.
the last meeting too, right?
The full sentence.
Ooh, nice, all right, we can lay this out and we'll look at it later. So tell us what you're proposing, what your application says.
So, I'm Dave Flanders, this is my wife Karen, and after about 30 years, I'm back to being a resident of Kingston again, so it's certainly exciting. We purchased 18 Church Street, just down the road here at the old Christie building, and we are going to be building an ADU on the back side of the property, so it's a 5-acre plot, and the land actually just went through a land swap so that we could do it because there was some wetlands that we had to work around.
Okay,
So we worked with Donna Carter, who owns that other property, did a land swap so that we had a usable area. And so we're proposing to build an ADU on the backside as per the maps. I printed out a large one there. There was a smaller one that put in the application pamphlet. We've been working with Glenn on the planning board, Robin, to make sure that we have all of our ducks lined up for everything that the planning board needs. We certainly met with you folks.
Yep.
Before we owned it. We only just closed, I guess 2 weeks tomorrow.
2 weeks ago, oh wow, nice.
So 2 weeks ago tomorrow, we closed on the house, so we're finally the owners officially.
Congratulations.
Thank you,
Welcome back.
thank you. And so we're gonna build an ADU per specs. It'll be, less than half of the size of the existing house that's there now. Single floor. When we were here in September-ish time, we were trying to get some guidance from you folks on what we were looking for and guidance from you and what you will be looking in the place as well. I mean, the first thing to note is it's going to be back 1,000 feet. You will never see this. Like, you could cut every tree down between Church Street and this, so you will never see this house. So it's way, way back. But we're going to still maintain, obviously we want to maintain kind of the integrity and look and feel of the plot. So we went with your suggestions of barn door-ish looking, doors, so they're not going to be barn doors, but the garage doors will be a barn door look. The more colonial windows, like a 6/6, 8/8 window.
Nice.
So that's to maintain kind of everything that you see within the infrastructure as well here, within the district. The existing house there actually does have vinyl siding. It was approved back in 08, 09, I think. So we're gonna go with vinyl siding as well, just for maintenance purposes and longevity. We're looking at like a light gray in color for that, with white trim. So keep it still, pretty colonial, classic looking. From roof perspective, we're going to go with a normal asphalt shingle, something very similar to what's on the existing house there today. We do have samples. Dave and Diane House are builders.
Hi.
So they're out of Wyndham. And so they brought some samples if people do want to see.
We do like
shingles.
samples, we definitely like samples.
We have pictures of the windows, we have pictures of the doors.
Oh, yes, we like all of that, yeah.
Yeah, so we have door pictures and we have window pictures.
Perfect.
And they brought us some samples of the asphalt shingles as well.
So you understand, and I'm sure you do, that when you get your certificate of approval, what we approve is what has to be installed. So if you're gonna change your mind and put, some different kind of windows or whatever,
Yeah.
you'll have to come back.
Yeah, we will.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, no,
All right.
we're fine
I mean,
with
you can
that.
see the plot, I've spent a lot of money now, so Bill, if I have to make a change on that, it's gonna cost me thousands of dollars, so I'm not gonna make changes.
Okay, all right, but I have to say that just for the,
I understood,
All right.
totally understood, yeah.
and the asphalt shingles are gonna be what color, like a brown, a gray or black, did you say?
Yeah.
Put them up on the,
looking at something like this, right here.
So he's talking about this color?
Yeah.
Okay. This color.
But it is, it's a, you know, a natural asphalt shingle.
Okay.
From the door perspective, there's, you know, so certainly the barn door look, for the garage, yeah. So,
Show that to them.
sure, yeah.
Can you specify,
What was that?
Like someone on mic.
Maybe they can't hear me.
Get closer to the mic.
Yeah,
right.
so-
can you specify what, from the road, if you could see it, which version do you see from the road?
Right hand.
This
Nope,
will
nope,
be,
in your
this one.
right hand.
This one. Yeah,
That's
because
correct.
that's from there, okay.
So
facing-
that in the bottom.
That's what I figured, but I
On
don't,
the bottom, that little small piece, that's what you can see from the
that's what you could see,
Absolutely.
okay. So that's the one, the little guy?
Correct.
Okay,
That's what you can see from the road.
right.
Yeah.
This end?
So the big windows are facing the water,
lake,
obviously,
right,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And like I said, it takes 10 minutes to
Right.
walk. You'll
And
never
there's,
see-
there's a map that in your package too that shows the, sort of the angle of it too, isn't square on to onto Church Street.
So, you know, we're keeping a carriage.
Yeah,
house,
so it's kind of-
Barn door.
Corner. Okay,
This faces the lake.
right, right. But, so this is gonna be kind of like this, and then.
So when you
this.
said for the
Got it.
windows 6/6 or 8/8, we would need to know specifically
Yeah, I
what.
mean, we have 6/6. in the
6/6.
Yeah, and
We're
that's
gonna-
that's what the house has now,
Okay.
and that's,
So we're just gonna go with that
yeah,
then?
and that's what we
All right.
most of the houses have. I mean, some you see some different,
Yeah.
like 9/6s or whatever, but,
Yeah, okay,
and that was your recommendation too, Susan, when we talked about those 6/6.
yep.
So, yeah, we've been working directly with Glenn and Robin to make sure that everything from, you know, that perspective is there. And, you know, we knew obviously we needed to get through this with you folks first, right, to make sure that it was approved. So, I'm planning on submitting everything to the planning board on Thursday so that we can get on the June 17th meeting.
Yeah, but they
It's
won't
gonna
be
be
facing the street, they'll be facing the water.
You'll never see it. Yep. And then you would only see that. Yeah. Yep. I guess if we read this part, that says this is the line. Oh.
If we can keep that, is that all right?
Sure.
That would be good. Then we have it, keep it in your package.
So in the land swap, then, you didn't increase your waterfront?
Not at all, not at all. It was, he asked if we increased the waterfront didn't change at all, and it was an exact land swap, literally it was 0.99 acres.
I see that.
And it was just so Donna and Grant took some wetlands from the, like, backside, I guess you wanna call it that, and then gave us more flat, non-wetlands that we could build the ADU on.
Nice. That was nice.
Yeah, it was a very nice collaborative effort.
And then the access to the new home, or the ADU, is gonna be the same driveway that's.
Same driveway, correct, it'll just be extended, and, I have it on my computer if someone wants to see it. I mean, there is an existing road there, and anyone that has been around for a long time, like Donna
Walked it
told me
many
about,
times.
she used to take that, and then we found a 1960 survey, and it was a road, it was a true road, and even when you walk it now, it's certainly grown in.
Yeah.
But that road is very well defined.
Perfect.
Sounds like you've been there.
Yes. The scouts like to hike back there.
Oh, yeah.
and Stuff like that.
Yes. Yes,
So when I had asked the question to Dave about whether they were planning paving or gravel driveway, and you said you hadn't quite decided yet.
I'm getting estimates right now.
Okay.
If it's, you know, ungodly, then, I mean, it's gonna be
It's gonna be a long road.
900 to 1,000 feet.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long.
So if we can pull it off, I would like to have it paved.
Okay.
If not, then it's gonna be a gravel.
Right. Is the beginning part right at Church Street, is that already paved?
It is.
Okay,
The
that's a
first,
paved driveway.
I don't know how many feet it
Okay.
probably 15 feet or something like that is paved.
Okay.
And then it goes to gravel,
Yeah.
So if we do, I would probably pave all of it just to make it uniform.
Right, right.
So we'll see. My Benevento has a place down in Plastow, and my brother actually works for Benevento, so I kind of have an in. I'm hoping I can get a good deal. If that's the case, then we will pave it.
Okay.
We've been in contact, so I used Joe Nichols, Environmental, out of Fremont. He did all the survey work and all of the septic, and we had the test pit done, and that's already all been done. And so we've certainly done a lot of that work as well. It's all been going in place. So everything's pretty much, the state actually, and Glenn just told me on Monday, the state received our shoreline protection permit. So we had to submit one to the state. Right. That was a really busy permit, and so that's received already. So
Okay,
I guess they guarantee a 30-day turnaround on us.
Where will the septic be?
The septic, it's on one of the maps that I sent. Wasn't there another one?
There's
that I
this
sent?
map. Is it on this map that you have?
Yeah, the septic is gonna be behind it.
So behind the house?
Behind the house, correct, yep. And all
It's
the
it's
setbacks
this
are.
little piece right here, is that true? Is that it?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep. And
So
the
that's,
sep-
it's not gonna be up near the front of the road,
No,
it's with the house.
no, and what's beautiful is it's gonna be one of those, what's it called?
Oh, yeah.
Stone and pipe,
Yeah.
so it won't be a mound.
Yeah.
It's gonna be flat, just like the one that they just put in at the 18, right where we live now. So that is flat, and because it's a stone and pipe, and those last forever too, which is nice. So Joe was able to architect it so that we can put a stone pipe in the back as well.
Nice big garage for a boat and things, I'm assuming, since
We have
Toys.
we have a tractor.
3 cars and some toys.
Right,
Yeah.
3 cars, we have a tractor and lawnmower. And
Well, my boat's on the lake there too, so if you get a boat, we'll go out there.
nice. You know, Michael Village?
Uh-huh, yeah,
Yeah, I went to school with his kids.
gotcha.
Yeah.
One of the other things that I asked David was about a chimney, and you said,
No chimney.
No chimney.
We're gonna have an insert fire, like a gas fireplace, but it won't have a chimney.
Side vent.
It's just a side vent, yeah.
does anyone have any other questions for Dave and Karen?
As far as the retaining walls and stuff, when you do that, are they just gonna be concrete, or are you going with some architectural type stonework?
That's another thing we'll walk outside. They'll just be concrete, right?
Yes, again, we haven't decided on whether it's gonna be concrete or.
Uh-oh, tap, tap.
The new stackable stones we've been using, they're 70 pounds a piece, and they're really decorative.
So that's what you would propose to use instead of just a poured concrete
Right,
retaining
if
wall?
they
Okay.
did poured concrete, Dave would probably face that with something.
Yeah,
That-
and that'll be on the back, that'll be
Right.
facing the woods, like way out in the woods.
Okay.
So that faces the complete opposite way.
But you'll possibly still see it from the lake.
No, I don't think so.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it'll be on the side.
Lovely, quiet
We
voice.
need like necklaces or something with a microphone on.
And then the deck that's around the front there, you just going with like cedar, or are you going with,
Yeah, we have materials right there.
okay, so you're going with composite type deck?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And that's in that color? That's the color?
Yeah, that's what we were looking at.
Okay.
Well, I think, because this is set back so far, it's a more modern design, but it's not visible from Main Street. It's not visible. So I think our normal questions for you are kind of out the window, because it's not going to be seen. Like, we don't have to ask you if you're gonna hide your septic vent pipe, because you're not going to see that.
You know
What are some
I'm
other
gonna hide
things?
it anyway.
Yeah, you might want to hide it for yourself, but we don't have to, yeah.
Candy canes.
And even if every tree on that lot was cut down, it still would be a house that you'd look back and go, oh, that doesn't look like a Swiss chalet or a concrete bunker or.
Right,
You know, it would
yeah.
still blend in.
The only non-colonial look is the windows in that face the water, right? And that's
Right,
just to
right,
give us
yeah.
that open air look, and everything else we wanted to incorporate that in, so that's what our plans were.
Right, yes. So,
It's all cool and great, but, and I'm all for this, I just want to make sure that, this will be visible from the lake, which is still a public area, even though it's going to be tucked way in the trees, so we need to take that into consideration.
so how do we deal with that?
Well,
Because
this is a new one for me,
This is
actually,
totally
because
new.
our ordinances talk about visible from.
Street view.
Street view.
From street or public view, right?
Just the street.
I think it's
Yeah, I
street,
read it too.
let's look, we can look it up,
I
yeah.
think it just says street view.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
It's a good,
That's a good thing.
it's a
great,
good
but I
point,
wanna
we
make sure
just have
we're
never
good with the
encountered
people.
Ever.
Lakeview.
This is the only one probably that we've ever had on the lake.
That's true.
Where would you even look for that?
And the rules now are too, we have to be 150 feet back, right? We're not even on water, right? We're, that's the closest.
Oh, all right, so you're not
150
even sitting
feet.
on the water.
Yeah, they don't let you build right on the lake anymore, so it's 150 foot setback for building.
You can do it, but you gotta get a bunch of variances.
Yeah, permission, yeah.
I know, I'm no Glenn Koppelman, I'm
It's a
sorry.
pain.
Yeah, this was good.
Well, lucky for you, only have a couple of butters over there, though, that's.
Well, we had to do 11.
Well, there's 9. Well,
send one to
there's
ourselves.
6 true abutters, and then we have to notify, weirdly enough, we have to notify ourselves. We have to send ourselves a certified letter. And then we have to send 3 certified letters to the surveyors who have stamps on all the plots. So, but there's 6 abutters, yeah.
So our old ordinance, 102.2, defines the historic district shall include the area on both sides of Main Street to a distance of 350 feet from the center line of said street, blah, blah, blah. On Church Street, the district shall go northwest on both sides of the street to the depth of 350 feet. And then we had a change that said if
If
your
it's
lot touches any part of the historic district, then the entire
That was
lot
changed like
is.
2 years ago, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that never changed to 350 feet from Main Street.
But we still have homes in the historic district that are touching Main Street that are not part of the historic district, just so you know that.
Which, yeah, well, you'll have to tell me which ones.
Okay,
All right.
you want to know right now?
No,
Oh, okay.
afterwards, make a note. Because I'm curious about that. But I'm not seeing anything about,
Because it's not, they're not like changing the actual historic structure on this property, they're adding the ADU, yeah. Because that would, if they were gonna change the, if you were changing the front structure
We're
to
doing the
that, it
citizens
would be
that
like,
live in the
whoa.
historic district the right thing, you know?
Right.
yes, yeah.
How far is the new structure then to Church Street in feet wise, do you know that?
1,000, almost 1,000,
850
like
to
980 feet.
Way
If it's
far.
350 feet, did they even, well, yes, because according to the.
The law changed.
Yeah, the
Yep.
rule was.
But the rule of thumb was
if any part
always
of the property
350
is on
feet.
Church Street, then it's all part of it.
Yeah.
And that's a unique property that it has 5 acres, like most of the other properties don't have that much.
Right.
Right, yeah. I mean, if you had a field sitting on Main Street that was completely wide open and it was still set back, then I would say, wait a second here, but this is
Yeah.
completely hidden.
Yeah, there are some trees out there, older than Kingston, I think.
Oh, there's some big ones.
We were amazed by the trees that are out there.
There's a couple of kettles back there too, isn't there some glacier kettles
But
back in your
still-
property there?
It says
We're
that,
finding lots of weird
What
things.
does it say? Do we have to?
There's some cool
uses
stuff
will
back
be
there.
permitted in a manner
Well,
not
you might
inconsistent with
find
the
Indian
character of the
artifacts, too,
district.
in
So
your
we're
We were
talking
talking
about
about
character
we
of the
should get
district,
a
it's a
metal
Main
detector
Street
to probably
district.
find things.
Closing, we had to sign something.
So it doesn't say anything about
Yeah.
the pond.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Right.
That was
It's the
part of
Main
the
Street
closing.
district.
Right.
So I'm directly
That's my
across the pond from
understanding.
you on the other side. So
If there is a member of the public that would like to
I'm in the Josiah Bartlett house right across the
point
street.
anything out to us,
So
that
we
would be
have our boat
great.
out there all the time, but we go in that area all the time when Donna owns that area, so. Friends of ours.
Grant took us
What do
out.
you think?
Yeah.
So,
Nobody.
with deer,
You were deer in the water.
He and myself are the only ones out on the lake.
Yeah.
It's awesome,
Yeah.
awesome, that's great.
so what Laurie is saying, I don't know if you have your button on there. We talk about what does the house look like from the street side, is it in character with other houses in the area, et cetera. We would need to look at houses on the lake that face the lake, is what Laurie was saying. Is it in keeping with character of houses on the lake? I haven't been, well, I've skated there and I've cross-country there, but I didn't much pay attention to windows and all what it looks like on lakeside, but I would assume that many of those houses, excuse me, want to take advantage of having waterfront
Exactly.
appearance and therefore have many windows that look
Would
towards the water.
Would look very similar,
I
to
would
that.
think so.
because we can't, I mean, because it's not visible from Church Street, the historic aspect is not so much in question.
Right,
Because
but
it's not
would it-
visible.
Would it be in keeping with other houses around the lake?
Right.
I would think so.
Right,
But those other homes around the lake, except for mine and the churches and stuff, are in the historic district.
right.
Visible from, but yes, visible from
Like
your
Ruth's
boat.
house is not in the historic district, and hers is a new home, and it has the big windows. and
Right,
everything there,
right.
so.
Right.
Right,
I'm comfortable with all that we've just been talking about, accepting the fact that it is on the water, and therefore is sort of waterfront style.
Right, yeah.
right.
I'd like to ask a question about writing up the certificate. As Susan said, whatever you say you're going to do, you need to do.
Yeah, of course.
In this case, I think that it would be okay or important to put into the certificate, if there are conditions, we write conditions, what were the following conditions, that we would approve either an asphalt or a gravel driveway as a continuation of the existing driveway. Because I don't think they should have to come back and say whether it's gonna be asphalt or gravel.
Yeah.
It's not going to change the appearance since it doesn't meet the road. So if we add that as a condition,
Yep.
which we allow one or the other to happen.
Yep, I like that.
And I think also, anyone going on the lake would be hard pressed to say that house is part of the historic district. They wouldn't even know. It sits back so far, it will look like a completely separate house lot to them, and they wouldn't even know it was part of the historic district, just, they'll know that it's.
Could be off Barnaby Lane.
Yeah, yeah, it could be off anything.
So,
Right.
can I just add something as far as the asphalt driveway?
Sure.
We have to be careful because you're not allowed to asphalt a driveway within 150 feet of a water body. So we need to make sure that if they do put in a driveway, it's out of the 150 feet range of the lake. So I'd just be careful the way you word it as far as you're approving asphalt, as long as it's outside that 150-foot buffer.
So you could just add not within 150 feet of the water.
I believe that's the law. I think it's 150.
Yeah, it's, I don't think
houses
that's quite
anyways.
it. Well, we've been working with Glenn on the planning boards, we're pretty well
Yeah,
done with it. It's
but we
not-
need to make sure what the proper language is for that asphalt within
Okay.
the waterway.
Yeah, we don't want to cross, like, you
Right.
can do this, but then you can't do this.
Right, I just want to protect
should know.
ourselves. We don't want to promise one thing and then someone else do it.
I'm sure the planning board would, yeah, Glenn, I've been working with Glenn on the driveway, and
Right.
I've shown all that, so I think we're pretty good.
So
Glen
how
Green-
about we just
Glen
say,
Greenwood.
As long as you meet the, what is it, the Wetland Shoreline Protection Act or something?
Yeah,
We could
just-
say that.
just
instead
word
of
it that
the
way.
amount.
Yeah.
And that application's already in.
It's already
Yeah,
in.
okay, yeah. And we got through the turtle hurdle too.
What was the turtle hurdle?
So like 15 years ago,
Like in
somebody
accordance
saw
with
a blanding turtle
Yes,
about a mile away from there. So that meant
What kind of a turtle?
a blanding turtle.
Oh, blandings, yes, yeah.
So there were blanding, and there was a spotted turtle too. That was many years ago, and it was literally a mile away. But the Fish and Game said turtles travel a long distance, so we had to do all sorts of investigation, and that took 2 months to get through that. But we now have the full approval for Fish and Game, so that we can do
Nice.
this. That big 2x3, the official one that the builders reuse, have the turtle pamphlet right on that in full color.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So we expect to see them lined up in front of the property?
Yeah.
Some sort of, nod to the turtle
We have a
somewhere on your
hotline, there's an
property.
800 hotline, if we see it, we have to call immediately.
Karen will start collecting little, like, lawn ornament turtles.
Yeah.
That would be really nice, all the way down your driveway.
When we lived in Chester, we had snapping turtles everywhere, so we're used to
Yeah, we have
turtles,
them too, huge ones.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Do we have any other questions for this application? Oh, all right, one member of the public would like to come up and ask a question.
Just 2 seconds, the microphone.
Is that okay to have him? Yeah. Sure. Oh, all right.
Scott Willett, 189 Main Street. Just want to ask a question about the power. It's set way back. Are they going to need power poles, underground utilities? Because
Yep.
that's one thing you might see from Main Street.
Okay,
Yeah,
good idea.
we had Unitil out there last Monday, so they've already been in consultation with us. It's going to end up being above line out, and then it will, when it gets to the house, it'll be under. And that's because they have a 3-year wait right now. We would have done underground, but there's a 3-year wait to get the correct, the transformer for underground. So he said, like, you'll see subdivisions.
All right, so did you say there's going to be a new pole put into a new pole?
Correct. Off Church Street.
You're gonna have pole, and then it will go underground to the
Correct.
house.
Right,
That's right.
okay.
Yep.
And that will go down the driveway, I'm
Correct.
assuming? Okay, and then you'll change it?
It'll go underground, correct. Yep, at the last point, it can go underground to the house.
Okay,
Yeah. But yeah, we would have done underground.
yeah.
It's a long way to
But
go.
3 years, 3 years
Three?
to get that.
So 3 poles,
Well, as many as they need, right?
right? Okay.
Yeah,
Whatever
I
it
It's
think
a
it
takes,
was-
long way,
whatever it
I
takes,
know.
yeah.
They charge $7,000 a pole, so I'm gonna go for as few as possible.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is there any way we can place them so they're not, there's nothing you can do about a pole? It's
That's
power.
unit, that's power company.
Yeah, yeah.
No, that's the power company.
Yeah, well, we actually, what number is it? I don't remember the number, but they were gonna put a pole right directly in the middle of someone's lawn, and they did work with them and move it to the edge of the
Their own
property.
lawn, actually.
Yeah.
but They did move it so that it was,
Unsightly.
they
So it's
moved
not
it so that it wasn't so unsightly,
Right.
without interrupting the service or making them have a further expense. It was one pole. Instead of in the middle of the lawn, it was to the left of the driveway.
Right.
And then to the barn, and then to the house.
Yeah.
So we have done that. But in this case, they're not gonna go through the woods, they're gonna go down along one edge of the driveway.
Yeah.
I would assume.
Yep.
And then underground to the house.
Correct. Yeah, that was one of my concerns, so I made sure Unitil came out, let us know what's going on.
So when do you plan on breaking ground?
I gotta do the planning board meeting, right? And then after we get that, and in the state, if we get the shoreline protection, our people are ready. Yeah.
Oh. Lighting, dark sky compliant lighting?
Yeah, I mean,
Exterior, Yeah, well, the town ordinances all call for dark sky compliant, so things that shine down and not out,
Oh, really?
yes.
We should tell that to the Northland people next door to me, because their light shines right into our house.
Yes, you should, yeah, you
It
could.
shines all night long. They
Oh,
don't ever turn it
that's-
off.
You absolutely can address that.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I'm a big stargazer. and
Yes.
When you have all kinds of lights, you can't see the stars as
Yes.
well, and that light literally shines right in our face.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know,
they
the
should-
Northland. people
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
next door?
Oh.
Yeah, the light doesn't, I'm like, make it a motion sensor light, right?
yeah,
But
right.
It's just on.
So who would he talk with about that? Code enforcement?
He could, yes, you could submit a complaint, for lack of a better term.
I would just go talk to, I
So,
wouldn't. fill
yes,
out
I mean,
something.
absolutely
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
to them first, and there is an ordinance about
Does
that.
anyone live there, or is that just a business?
It's business.
It's a
Okay,
business. Yeah, absolutely, there's an ordinance, as Madeline said, it's supposed
Yeah.
to go down
down.
and not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I would plan on putting motion sensor lights, right? I mean, in our past house, we had, you know, like, ring camera lights, right? So if something walked in front of it, the light would turn on, it would video record it, right?
Right.
So probably that, but I mean, if that's, just has to be pointed down, we can certainly, that's the way we had it anyway.
yeah.
Were you
Pointing, yeah.
planning to put lights along the long driveway back to the house?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so, no. That'd be that much more electric we'd have to run.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said that's that much more electric we'd have to run.
It'd be before the meter, so you got to put another meter.
Right. Yeah.
Plus, the next time that we have the aurora come by, you'll be able to see it.
No doubt. Well, it sounds like I'm gonna join out on the water.
Float out there, we'll do that.
Seriously.
You can go out at night on the boats, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you want to make a motion then with all of your,
Gosh,
it's going to be a nice one.
I don't think I wrote them that I could make a motion with it. I was trying to make notes, but
I can add to them because I made some notes too.
So it'll be as presented, gravel driveway with possible paving, with, keeping in mind the setback from the water. Utilities, which we don't have to make a motion for that because it's utilities.
well, I think we should just address what we have. How, Virginia?
I was
Yielding
looking,
to you.
Looking, the application letter has a lot of the information on
that's what
it.
I was doing, is looking at the application letter. There's no need to repeat what's there.
Right.
So vinyl siding, light gray color, white trim, asphalt shingles,
6/6 windows would be,
okay.
because that's what he had mentioned.
606.
Oh,
down
right there.
here.
Okay,
Yep,
good.
down here. Garage door, barn style, and we have a picture of them.
Yes.
So those things do not need to be mentioned.
Okay.
Do you want to mention anything about the retaining wall or anything like that? Being something other than concrete, or is it far enough back where it's not an issue?
I think it's not a bad thing to say that they're planning to use stackable stones for the retaining walls,
Or
and that
something
they are not
architectural
going
other
to
than
have a
concrete.
chimney.
Do you have that?
I do, yep. They're going to use a stone and pipe septic, which will be flat and not raised. Power poles to the house with underground,
Did the building?
under the building, to the building,
No driveway.
and no driveway lighting. And I don't think I missed any of those details. Did you have anything else?
The deck is composite gray.
Oh, yes.
We've got the stacked stone.
Composite railings and everything too, or are you going with?
How do we want to word the driveway is 900 to 1,000 feet. It can be asphalt or gravel as long as it meets the Shoreland Protection Act. Is that what we say?
Yeah.
Those exact, okay.
Yep.
That's all I have.
I think that's all I have too. Was that sort of a motion? I make a
So,
motion to.
so I make a motion to include all of those additions to the plan as presented. Is that okay?
So the
Yes.
additions are, just to be clear, is the composite deck
Yes.
with composite railing. Something other than concrete retaining walls, something architectural, correct?
Yeah, he said stackable stones.
Stackable
Yeah.
stone?
Or stamped concrete or something like, something that.
No
The
chimney?
road,
No chimney, no driveway lighting,
Yep.
okay. Sounds like we're covering
stone and
it.
pipe septic.
And down lighting, if any exterior lighting is compliant.
Dark sky compliant lighting.
Don't worry, Dan, it'll be down, it'll be off. I like night vision.
I think that's all I've got
Yeah.
as far as
It's
additions.
pretty complete.
Do we have a second on that very long motion?
I'll second it.
Second by Dan. Any more discussion? All in favor of the application as presented this evening with all of those additional details?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Dan, did you say aye?
Yes, I did.
Yes, okay, unanimous, excellent. Are you receiving mail at 18 Church Street, or where would you like your?
P.O. Box 70.
P.O. Box 7?
Yeah, that was another thing we realized, there was no mailbox there, so
Oh,
I figured it'd be easier to do a post office than to try to put a
70,
mailbox in.
70, yeah,
Yes, 70, yeah.
okay. Then, either Madeline or Virginia or
yeah,
someone will
we'll work together.
come up with,
I usually do the certificate of approval, but Maddie's about to learn about this.
Oh.
So we get it done as soon as we can. We send a copy to you, and then we make sure we have a complete set of plans, although I'm assuming the building inspector has this information as well.
Yeah,
But I
yeah, we're
always-
meeting with the planning department on June 17th. They'll have
So I
everything.
always include whatever you've given us.
Yep.
From us, and send that to him. And then when you go in and want to get started, or whatever your next step is after you've been to planning board, you said
Yep.
you're going to do that, then our information for you should be there, the approval.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome,
Okay.
thank you.
Good luck.
all right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, great. They are gonna live in it. You are going to live in it, true? Is that true? You're gonna, this is gonna be your place?
yeah.
Yes, that was my
Yeah, my
understanding.
wife and I were just about here, so, actually, our hope is our son will.
Now they'll never
will
leave.
rent the front.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he lives
That
with
would be
us
great.
now, he's, he's ready to jump the nest, if you will.
Yeah.
Good project.
So we're hoping that he'll stay there and with some friends, so.
Close but far away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
1,000
awesome.
feet.
Keep an eye. You can keep
4
an eye.
telephone
Yeah.
poles, right?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks
yeah.
very much.
Right, Virginia, you're gonna sit with me on that, right?
This is, I am, Maddie.
And this is the application, and this is the one that was signed. Thank you. Which one did I get? Dang. One of you has the application that was signed by,
I don't
So do
have-
I keep it, because I'm the one that's gonna send it?
no, that one actually goes to, I think two of them. Was your application signed by,
So what do you do, Virginia? Do you send their application back to them, or who does this go to?
That goes to the building inspector.
Okay, but I need it to write up the initial, right?
You do.
Okay, all right. So I could give it back to you after, right? I can give it
I don't need it.
to Susan after?
What I do is I,
Okay. But do I use it to write?
than it is, because it's actually just a big stack of stuff right now.
Yeah. Should I, use it to write the letter and then give it to you?
no, she doesn't care whether I don't think she cares whether she has the signed copy or not.
Okay,
No, the signed copy has to go to Glenn Green, go to Pedro.
right.
Yes.
Okay.
And
So
so you
I'll-
have a signed copy.
Oh, I have the signed one?
Yeah, was it, I thought Lori
was-
said you had a signed one.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if that's his or if that's.
That
just-
is, yes,
that-
that's
so
Glenn.
you have to keep that one?
No,
No, you keep that one.
this one
I thought you
goes,
wanted the signed one.
I have a signed one as
Oh,
well.
okay,
There
all
were
right.
2 of them, sorry.
You keep
Who's
that.
on first?
And I don't send any paperwork except the certificate of approval to the owner, to the
Right.
applicant.
But don't you need to get info to put on that letter, anything from this?
Oh, yes.
Okay, all right,
So if you want help with it,
Yes.
you'll let me take a peek at that letter, right?
yes,
No,
yes.
no, I'm just kidding.
And do you have all of the notes? Do you have the same notes that I have?
Yes,
think
I
you-
have, yes, I do have
Okay,
that now.
all right.
I just was, it was so like all over the place, because halfway through, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to write this, so I started putting stuff in, but
I
it
saw
was.
you writing, so I didn't write a lot.
Yes, let me take a picture of them, though,
Oh, okay,
because that works for me just as well.
okay.
And
Yeah,
this should go in,
just in case, just in case.
this should go in somebody's, is this staying in mine? This particular thing stays in my collection?
Yes,
from what I
keep that whole
understand,
thing.
Right? The
Yes.
picture,
We
or
need to,
does it go to
so-
Pedro? That was my question.
I would make a copy of it and send it to Pedro so that he
Okay.
sees what it's supposed to look like. As a matter of
Okay.
fact, that's part of what I'd like to discuss under current concerns for historic districts.
Okay. We're
Oh,
not there
that's a
yet.
good
We're not
idea.
there yet. All right. So
Can I
that-
have your
know
notes?
You can have that,
Oh, let me have that for a second. your
and
notes.
this goes to
Okay,
Pedro.
take her notes.
Oh, wait,
took-
do
she
I
took a
give it to
picture.
Pedro?
Yes, yes, you do.
Maddie, you're gonna take that piece of paper home.
Oh, okay, I'll take it.
We've upset her.
No, I just,
She's upset now.
I don't know I don't know what information is going to whom.
But Virginia's here, and she will tell you all about it. She really will. Let's move on, because we've got some more stuff to do. And this is another application that did not need to be signed, and this is an application from Dan Doyle, who is probably going to recuse himself. So you can go sit in the hot seat. Introduce yourself, please.
Dan Doyle, 156 Main Street.
And Mr. Doyle, what are you proposing?
We are proposing doing a white wood 3-rail fence located in the rear of the property.
In the rear of your property?
Yes, it'll be about 125 feet by 70 feet.
Say that again, sorry?
About 125 feet by 70 feet?
By 70
70 feet.
feet. Okay, thank you.
In the application, I submitted a photograph of what the fence will look like.
What's the orientation of the, where's the front? Well, that's where the fence is.
Yeah, the red is the fence behind the barn, the big red barn in the back.
Yeah.
So the fencing will be behind that.
Behind the
Oh,
barn.
got
Right,
it, got it.
and it will
Okay.
come out 20 feet from the barn.
Okay, 20, okay, got it. So this is the,
Where's the front?
I know, we're still backwards here.
I am so turned around.
Where's the front of the house?
Is this the front?
The top is Main Street.
Yeah, Main Street, this is the big red barn in back.
Right.
So the
Okay.
fence will come 20 feet out.
And then that way.
Way back.
Okay.
For cattle. Are you going to have a gate?
I'm sorry?
A gate?
Yes, there'll be a 10-foot gate and a 4-foot gate. There'll be a tubular steel gate, a cattle gate.
Steel gate. Is this where you have your, remember you said you got a permit for the, what do you call it, the dragging barn or the dragging cow shelter or something? What was that called?
Oh, yeah, so the barn that I built for the cattle is in the back pasture,
Okay, all right,
but that barn is mobile. Remember I told you I
Mobile.
have it so I can move it around?
right. But
So
that's
the-
not gonna be inside this.
It may in the winter months be
Okay.
behind the big barn,
Okay.
just for shelter in the winter months, but in the summer, they'll be out in the very back pasture where the barn is now,
Okay,
the small cattle barn.
yes. So your gate is big enough to drag that building through?
Oh, yeah,
Okay, all right. That
because it was
was
only 10 by 18, underneath the 10 by 16, I think is what it was.
perfect, nice.
Dan, the photo you have looking down on your property.
Yes.
Where the fence is going to be, are you removing trees?
Nope, I'm not taking any trees down. That's the reason why I'm putting it theirs, because they need shade in the summertime.
Nice, very nice.
So sorry, so the fence is going through the trees?
Yes,
That's a lot of post holes.
it is. Thank God I got an attachment on the tractor.
I was gonna say,
I got an auger,
couple of
so-
post hole diggers you can borrow.
He might be doing something other than those. We have a couple of those post hole diggers too, you can have now.
I got 2 teenagers too, so
I
it
was just
helps.
gonna say, and it builds muscle.
That's right. And character.
I think it looks good.
I think it looks good too.
I make a motion that we approve Dan's application as presented, a white wooden 3-rail fence, 125 by 70 feet, at the back of his property with a 10-foot and a 4-foot steel tubular gate.
Do we have any other discussion or questions about this application?
I do, actually. So
Okay.
it doesn't appear that you're near your property line at all, particularly?
No, the closest property line would be the plaza next door, and that's probably about 40 feet away from that.
But he could go right down the property line.
I could, but I
Yeah.
didn't because the neighbors have a right of way, and I didn't want it to be right on the road.
Yeah.
Because when they're plowing snow, it's gonna take the
Yeah.
fence down.
Right,
So
yeah,
I kept it quite a ways from the road.
good idea.
Yep.
So we've had a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous? Yes. Nice.
Dan, I will say, looking, when I'm sitting in the front room and I look across the street and I can just see one of the cows, it is the coolest little picture.
Ribeye?
Right? It is so cool. And the other day there was mist in the field. I'm telling you, it was amazing. Just because a cow, is just doing his thing. I'm like, oh, that's just so amazing.
Yeah, yeah,
To have it on record.
absolutely. So you'll be getting your certificate of approval as well for that,
As soon as Maddie
You're
gets over her
welcome.
nervous breakdown.
But we don't want to talk about that right now. Sorry. Now, we have another application, and this one is,
We've already done 2 yeses.
this one is,
I think with the next one,
this one I have to recuse myself.
hit our allotment of agreeability there.
And did you get the pictures that I sent you? Because I'm just weird about using up all my color ink on my printer. So I will go sit in the hot seat now, and you can.
Oh, wow.
Okay, our next applicant. Our next applicant is Susan Prescott. Susan.
Hello.
So we have an old, we call it a little garage, but it's actually a shed. And I think it was most likely a workshop attached, worked in conjunction with the grist mill. It's a very old shed and it needs some work. It has woodchucks that live under it and skunks that live under it. and the sills are rotting on the bottom. So we have a barn easement on it, so we actually have to and want to restore it, fix it up. So we are proposing to empty it, take the wooden floor out, lay a slab, and our contractor will replace any of the sills that are rotted and need replacing. There's one post that's a little bit, it's internal, but there's one post, corner post is not in great shape. And you'll see on the application that right now it has an asphalt shingle roof. We are proposing to put a metal roof on it to match the other, metal roofs on our property, on our barns.
Better silver.
Silver, yes, same color, same style. It's just a repair, actually, but because we're putting a different material for the roof and the flooring, the foundation, that's why we're getting a certificate of approval, asking for a certificate of approval.
So are you updating the shingle style? Are you re-shingling, or are you just gonna lift it up and redo?
No, it needs to be re-shingled, so we are proposing, planning to use the white cedar to match the barn. The picture of the roof actually shows the shingles and the trim as well. Right now, I don't even know what you call it, but you know, you have a corner board on your house, right, where your shingles meet it, but this has no corner boards, it's feathered in.
Yes.
And our carpenter said that he could do that, but I don't feel that it's necessary, but you know, it's not an architectural detail. I don't believe that's original to it. In fact, the guy that shingled it told me that he was the one that did it back in, I don't know, 1940 or something. So Russ and I are perfectly happy to just put the corner boards on the way that we have on the barn.
Okay.
So it will look just like that.
Well, personally, as a photographer, I love the look of the old one too. I love the look of the new one as well, but I love the nostalgia of the old one.
Yeah, and we do love, I mean, it's very picturesque.
Yeah,
But the woodchucks and the skunks is just not,
Totally
I mean, we
understand.
need to do something about it, and it's really not getting any better, so it's time.
Same wood slab door.
A replica, my husband wanted him to use the same doors, and I was like, no.
Thing.
Oh, yeah.
Even a garden element or something.
Yeah.
Would be adorable.
Yeah.
So Susan, there actually is a corner board on one side of it because it holds the support.
It does
for
hold the doors, yes.
So
Yeah.
that won't be so unusual to see a corner board on the other side.
Yeah, yeah,
So your metal roofs are silver.
yes.
Remember that, okay. Okay, I think most of what Susan has described, is actually in the write-up that she did, page just before the picture of the building. Slab floor, metal roof, silver, new white shingles, white cedar shingles, board door replicating the existing one. And what?
Field stones to hide any concrete foundation. Do you get to use reuse the hinges, or will you have to get new? So many hinges. Oh, you do?
Buckets.
Oh, that's awesome. So a replica of the
of the existing
And
doors.
if you don't have enough hinges, come to my house. We have a lot of hinges, we have a lot of hooks, a lot of, all kinds of.
No, there's no power to it right now. My son told me that before they paved the driveway, they did run conduit under the driveway, but I have no real evidence of that. But there won't be outdoor lighting on it at all. If anything, I'll have a light bulb inside, but at this point, it's not powered.
Okay.
So,
Okay, anyone have any other questions or comments about it? Someone like to make a motion?
I make a motion to issue the certificate of approval according to the plans as presented.
Is there a second?
Do we need to add conditions, though? She's gonna add the corner boards,
Oh, you're right.
with the addition of corner boards and replicating the actual doors. I think that was it.
I think those were the
Those
only
were the only
additional.
additions.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, and I'll second.
okay. Any other comments? All those in favor of the proposal?
Aye.
Unanimous?
thank you.
Boy, that's 3 I have to write, Virginia.
Do the easy ones first.
Yeah, start with that one.
Yeah, do the easy ones
am gonna
first,
miss
and then
the
you'll
look
get
of
like
the-
into
it's
your
so
groove,
cute,
and then
that
you'll be
old
fine
gross
by the
little
time you
barn,
hit that
but
one.
Yeah.
Like I have my rusty bike hanging, like,
I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
what about the bike
and when
in
we
the
have
picture?
weddings, I'll put that there, because I have a basket and I put up flowers in the basket for weddings and stuff, so it just makes it really look cute, so, anyway. So let's
She's always having a wedding there.
have 2 this year.
Oh, my goodness.
I do, yeah.
You're the wedding venue.
Just
lady.
friends of the family that just,
Oh, it's so nice when we came to your children's wedding. Can we have our wedding at your house?
that's what happens.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Right.
Seriously.
Well, my sister was telling me her son is engaged and he's thinking of getting married in New York City or around that area, and to rent a tent is $100,000.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, yeah. And she was like, you should get married at your aunt's house. So, anyway,
Save yourself $50,000
I
minimum.
know,
Put towards
yeah,
a house.
absolutely, yep. All right, let's continue on. Now we have to talk about the reorganization of the Historic District Commission. We need to come up with who's gonna be the chair, who's gonna be the vice chair. Do we have any conversation?
I make a motion, Susan is the chair and Dan Doyle is the vice chair.
Second it.
You all right with that?
And I accept.
And we'll be nice. We'll be nice to you.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
And be
We
nice
will.
to me. Be nice
We will
to
be
me.
nice
That's
to
the
you.
condition,
Yeah,
that's the
Beat up too
condition.
hard.
that's right. All right, all in favor? Aye. Good, thank you. Thanks, Dan.
Dan, I took the letter writing part off of your.
I know, you guys do so much. I'm sure you guys will make it easy for me. Thank you.
A regular member and not, because I don't know what to do about it.
I think you should just wait if Stan needs to renew, and he hasn't done
Oh,
it.
they're adding stuff to your plate already. Look at that.
I'm not sure what that policy is.
Okay,
Just
so
let it hang for another month.
let it hang for another month, all right. We're talking because Stanley, I don't know if he has renewed yet, or doesn't he have to ask the selectmen?
Something has to come before the board,
Okay,
and then we would sign it, and I have not signed
Okay.
anything for Stanley since I've been on
okay,
board.
all right. Because I was asking if it would be appropriate to ask Susan, you, Susan,
This Susan.
to, instead of being an alternate, be a regular member. So, but Virginia suggested I wait another month. So, is that okay?
Yeah, I think
Or
that's-
can we make
I-
him an alternate and
When did his,
Yeah, when's he
when
expire?
did it expire?
March,
March?
yeah, because I had to renew
Yeah.
this year.
So that's 2 months ago.
He's been on the board for many years. I'd be glad to talk to him. I think it would be a courtesy to say,
Yeah.
are you going to do that? And when he isn't here, Susan's functioning as a regular
Okay.
member anyway.
All right.
To go from alternate to regular member, Lori, do you know if it's our decision to invite her?
It would be it's always the board, the actual board on who they're choosing, you know, it's really just a courtesy of the
Yeah.
select board to sign it. I don't know that we've ever said no.
Right.
Because it's, you know, the person wanting to join a board, so whatever the recommendation would be from
Okay.
the particular
All right.
board.
So we'll wait a month on that.
I will contact,
You'll have a little chat with
will
Stanley, because
contact
he's not here tonight, so I don't know what his feelings are about that.
Right.
Okay, all right, excellent, thank you. Susan Dehart, Dehart or Dehart? Dehart. How do you pronounce your last name? Dehart, that's what I thought, good. Okay. Okay. Do you have a report on historic district signage for us? Speak up nice and loud.
Yeah, well, it all started with noticing the signs, in fact, over by the Flanders house. So, the first thing I did was get a map of the two districts and then scouted around to see what signs there were, and I can pass this around. It would seem to me that we need a total of 10. There are 6 current and 4 streets that appear to need it.
Okay.
I met with the Tom
Rowan, the highway agent?
is that how you say it? Rogan? Yep, the highway agent, and Bob Bean and Ernie Landry. And we just had a discussion about it. Tom's all in on replacing them, and then we get into size and everything. So this is what we currently have, more or less, and then I'll get to the center. So in fact, what was interesting is this is like the door that the Flanders had. Is that meaningful in some way, the curvature of the? Anyway.
I don't know.
So they currently say, that's all they say, Town of Kingston Historic District. But in discussion with the men, we started talking about having the signs at the different places kind of the same, more or less. This is the website.
Okay.
This is just one that I found online, a simpler one.
Yeah, it's pretty.
So, and then Ernie gave me a copy of the bill that he had gotten for the signs, Welcome to Kingston, back in 2018. They had gotten 13 screen signs, and it was $646 for 13 signs. It was done by the New Hampshire Correctional Industries.
Oh, okay.
And it's the type of sign that is that reflective, and they really still look terrific, and that's how many, that's 6, 5, 7 years. Whereas the current signs are painted and not reflective, but.
Oh, so is
That-
that what the high school kids did,
Well, Ernie got the metal for the signs, and then the kids put them together and made the wood frames. and everything.
Yeah, the shop kids
Right.
did the fancy work, and Ernie got the.
Got the metal inserts.
okay.
Right, but ours would probably just be totally the metal. I mean, that would be my opinion.
I agree with her, just make them metal.
I'm sorry.
I would agree with you, just make them metal signs instead of wood.
so I thought I had those extra ones, but I actually had given them to Susan, and they're pretty
They're
bad
not in great shape.
They're not in great
not-
shape,
The
so-
paint on them is not, the lettering in the painting is very faded and checkered, sort of.
So I really think it's time for new material, and why not use what Ernie used, and use the correctional facility to do that work. And then DPW said they'd put them up, right?
I'm sorry.
DPW said they'd help put them up?
Yes,
after we had
yes,
them made.
Tom and, yeah.
So they can be made in that shape, in the shape of, that we, of
I
our
hadn't
original
gotten that
ones?
far yet.
Oh, okay.
Because I didn't want to, I mean, do you want the same one? Do you want it to change? Do you want to put the carriage? So there's all that part that I wasn't,
Well, I think it's nice to keep the carriage, it's Carriage Town, right?
So
That's nice to keep that.
The only thing I would say about the carriage is it's a different carriage than
it
what,
could totally be that.
I would just make sure that it's
same
accurate.
one.
It's
Consistent.
the same one, or it's accurate for Kingston, right?
Sure.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
And since this is the one, this is kind of our logo that's on a bunch of stuff, I would make sure that it's
Yeah.
the same.
Is our logo accurate to Kingston?
I know,
I don't
is
know.
this accurate for the carriage?
I
Do you
honestly don't
guys
know.
what type of carriage we were known for? Was this the one?
I don't
Like
think
I
it was
don't-
that fancy. So I think we should get with the
Oh,
museum.
you know who not, Walt Roy will know.
Walt would know, for sure. Right, so just verify
get a
the
picture.
carriage.
Yeah, we should find out. which
See, I don't know,
carriage.
where did it come, backstory?
Yeah, so I would make sure we have the right
I
carriage.
do like the shape that we have, though. I think that they're distinctive, and a lot of different towns have, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, the shape of the
Yes.
sign,
Yes.
yes. Being, I get into this because I seem to be a person who notices these signs and all the different, like Newburyport.
Yeah.
Theirs are somewhat consistent, but fancier, and of course Exeter. And they have the fish,
They have
for
the
some
LYs
reason,
on
is
them.
there.
Yeah.
So when we had the meeting, said we should put the, yeah, I
very
thought that
pretty.
was a great. And, but they're that's the part that I don't know, who knows those kind of things.
I know. David Ramsey, Gail Ramsey's husband, is an artist. He designed that, and the weather vane on the top of this building was designed by David Ramsey, and I believe it is accurate to a carriage that would be in this town.
This one.
I'm not sure. I would have to look up on top of here
Yeah.
to see if
Well-
it matches that.
And we can also talk to the owner of the Marshall Carriage Museum, what's his name?
Right, yes, he would know.
Albert.
Albert. He knows exactly what
Albert
carriages
would
would,
absolutely be able to tell you
Yeah.
right away, just by looking at it.
yeah, Albert would know exactly what was made here in town.
Because, and then someone mentioned the sign that's at the Nichols Library, which is not a carriage. It's a bandstand, and it's a little, it's fancy, it's quite fancy.
Yes.
It's different.
Yes.
So, right, where is the consistency already, and should it be continued on? I think, yeah, if this is it.
Yeah.
I just took this from the internet.
Oh, yeah, yeah, to give us an idea.
I'd like that design, and similar to what we have now. The only thing I think we should do is make them actually a little bit bigger than they are now, because they're small and they kind of get lost.
Yeah.
The signs themselves?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
And the size are, they're 24 inches on the bottom, 14 inches on the highest piece, and then they're 10 on these sides.
that's the existing size right now?
Yeah, they are,
they're-
they're bigger
I guess
than you
they're-
think. They're,
Okay.
I have 3 of them in my car.
I guess we drive by them so
3 years.
quickly, they just get small. You know?
They feel smaller than that. But Tom was all in on a little bit bigger. I mean, he wasn't resistant. I mean, to a certain extent.
Right.
But we were all in agreement that, and they were all like, simple is better.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Like
agree.
not adding any.
Yeah, yeah, I like
But
it.
this is what they currently say, Town of Kingston.
Especially if you're driving by, you only, like, the simpler the better.
Yes.
You're gonna miss, like, we wouldn't even see that logo if you put the logo in the middle.
No.
It would be lost.
But having a carriage would, I
Yeah.
think, is.
The carriage,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, we need a carriage.
The carriage.
Yeah, because it totally looks like this with a blank center, like it's begging for something.
Yes.
The only other thing, and I know my husband will ask me unless I say it, he's all in on the year. But the year is on the signs coming into town, and, but I just felt compelled to,
You could put
because
the year
this one
underneath the
does
carriage.
say incorporated.
Yeah,
but this is,
And you can put, I think, what, they were established in 1973, so that doesn't really, established 1973. So I don't think we need the year. So my question is like, for funding of these signs, what would you do about, how would we go about funding them? About budget or fundraise, or what do you do?
I believe that you can, by the time we got ready to do it, and made a good spreadsheet of what it would cost, it'll be time for the next budget year and just put it in as a budget
item.
amount.
Yeah,
You think it's gonna take that long for us to get that together?
Well, the other thing is you can look at your budget,
Yep.
see what you haven't spent, and see if we can move some money around from one
Yeah,
category to
Yep.
another. We
Okay.
can do that as well.
all right.
And will the DOC give us some type of, like, municipal pricing or nonprofit pricing or something like that?
Who's
The Department of Corrections, will they give us some type of nonprofit type pricing?
well, that was the next step. I would, after we chatted, I was gonna get back with Ernie about what the next step is
Right.
to go.
And the only reason why I'm asking is because all the flags for the school district, I buy through the DOC because they're half the price of what you would buy off the shelf. So I buy a lot of stuff through the DOC, and they do give me good pricing on that stuff because we're nonprofit and we're schools. So they may be able to help us out on some of the costs there too. They'll do it.
yeah. Now, would we do just the metal sign? Would we just, would we just do like a double black line in that shape and nail it up, or
As
would
long as
we?
it's gonna be not flimsy. I mean, why did they make the frames
Yeah,
around the
that's
other
what
ones?
my-
Were they gonna be flimsy
I wouldn't
without
use a
any?
frame, I would just have the black stencil line put on the metal and make it
But why, yeah,
reflective
but
if you
why
want.
why were they made with frames before?
Well, Susan can ask
Oh,
Ernie.
okay.
Yes,
All right, okay.
yeah.
Were they,
yeah.
Find out.
And
were
this
they
is-
afraid they'd be flimsy?
This black line only signifies the edge of the sign.
Well, I like it.
This black line
like the
is
double
literally on there.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
Yeah,
This
it
was just
outlines.
me putting,
If you were gonna just do metal, I would say make that double black
so
line.
have a line actually on the edge.
Yeah,
Oh,
It's a
good
single
point.
line,
yeah, I would do that.
it's a single line.
Because it makes it
But
stand
I would
out.
do a double if you're not gonna frame it in with
Okay.
the wood.
If you're not gonna
just
frame-
like that, make
and
it
then
just like
have a
that.
small space and
Yes.
then your
Yes,
inner
uh-huh,
line.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Border.
Yep, it makes it stand out a little
Yeah.
bit more.
But if you're gonna put it in a frame because it's too flimsy, then I would say let that be the,
Yeah, and these other towns, as I say, that I check out, they don't, other than the towns that have the really fancy brass one, that's a whole other. Most of them are, it's just a sign, it's simple.
we could have people put their name on the back of it. They could sponsor a sign.
Sponsor a sign.
A brass-plated sign.
Could you pass that map over, please?
Yes.
I wanted to check that out.
What was the cost?
Yeah, I thought that was really reasonable.
So it was 646 for 13, and this was back
But
in,
that
oh
was,
geez, that was
yeah.
in 2018.
I don't see a lot of inflation with the Department of Corrections. This is private sector, I'm thinking you could double that number.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty interesting.
have to see, yeah, it'd be
But-
interesting in the prices.
How many have we ordered?
Now, how many do you have on the map there?
10, I would order more, because,
An extra 2 or whatever?
If you wanted a spare, and then the other
Yeah.
part is, do you think, oh, did I pass the other one?
because if they
right
ordered
here.
13
It's right
before,
here, Susan.
There were those streets those 4, that, this is just my thought when I
oh,
went
these are the
tooting
welcome
around.
to Kingston signs, never
Oh,
mind. These-
Tom didn't
that's-
seem
well,
to
the-
think there needed to be one on Bartlett Street, but I don't know. It's a street.
It is, yeah.
And just for pricing, I would reach out to New England Sign and Barricade up in Epping, and they do custom signs like this for municipalities.
Okay.
That's where Kingston gets a lot of their signs, and just to see what their prices are, because they can make them right there in-house. They have this cool machine, and you just type in what you want, and it prints it on the paper, and then they stick it right to the metal.
What is that, New England sign?
New England Sign and Barricade. They're right across from the Department of Motor Vehicles. They're up in Epping, up on that corner there.
Sign and barricade?
Yeah, New England Sign and Barricade.
What are they across from?
Barricades for like road construction and stuff.
We're on 125 across from the DMV
Yeah.
up in Epping.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
They're up there on the corner there. It's a metal building. I use them a lot for the school district. Their prices are real reasonable, just to get a price comparison, because
Yep.
we probably should just do it.
Yep.
So Susan, if you did some more work on that and got some prices and all of that, then we'd see if we had enough money in our budget to shift some things around. Or if we would need to ask for some for,
Do we know where the budget stands right now?
I don't think we've spent anything.
How much did we have to start?
I don't know.
Okay.
1,200, 600, 1,200, I don't know, some, not very much at all.
Okay.
So it's pretty
That
small.
L-chip grant thing?
Is it a grant thing?
L-chip?
Is it worth the money to put in for $600? I mean, the effort?
well, let's see what the 2025 price is
Yeah.
first,
Yeah.
and then go from there.
All right. I like that. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah,
my
that's
pleasure.
great.
It's fun.
Now that you've been talking about it, every time I go by some of them, I wince.
I know.
At how awful some of them look.
And then on the New Hampshire Chronicle thing, and
They picked the worst one in
picked
the
the
whole.
worst
district.
ones. I was like, oh, gosh.
The one they did about carriage, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they were trying to send a note like, hey, fix your sign.
Something.
Yeah,
Oh,
just, yeah.
Featured you,
I know.
looking like this.
It was awful. I was like, oh. All right. Are we all right with that topic for now?
Yeah, from,
Okay. Virginia would like to talk about current concerns for historic districts.
Yes, I would. It's getting late, so I'll try to be efficient. And again, I apologize for this voice and fuzzy voice and kind of a fuzzy mind that's going with it. I'm very concerned about the pressure on historic districts, especially because of the emphasis on housing shortage. And with the emphasis on that, there are many, many ways that legislators are looking to make available more housing, affordable or not, more housing. And I was doing a little research about that. So one of the things I did was to write to Ken Weiler, and he sent me the list of the bills that are before them, and there are 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 bills before the Senate or the House that have to do with housing regulations. Most of them, some of them protect the homeowner. Most of them override local zoning for impact on areas. I see a day when there won't be a historic district because so much of the character will have been taken away by the state imposing, if you will, kind of a rough word, but imposing restrictions on what we can and can't do. And so I think we should be as careful about our historic district as we possibly can. As you know, there's less and less open space in Historic District 1 and probably 2 as well for new construction. And so I'm seeing more and more lots. I think of the Saunders house, for example, that was torn down and a new house put there, a lot of wetland behind their house. So the vent is on the front lawn for the septic. And in their case, the well lid doesn't show very much. And we got alerted to that. Whoa, we need to pay attention to saying you need to beautify that if you can't put your septic system somewhere else. Obviously, we can't tell them you can't put your septic system there. They had no other place.
It's right up on the road. It's
It
right
is,
front,
yeah. It is,
front
yeah.
center, right 186.
Right across the street from Maddie, on,
Well, next to me,
Oh,
right
next
on, next to East
East
Way.
Way.
Yep. So the septic is a brand new house, that's the only place they could put it, it's right there.
So-
But they did a cute job.
they've done a nice job with that. So, sometimes when we say, no, we don't like the looks of that, there aren't any other options. And so so we've been alerted to that. Now I'm seeing that there are other places in which unsightly things are happening on houses. For example, enormous electrical boxes.
Yeah.
Where there was previously just one small meter. I've spent a lot of time looking around up and down HD2 and HD1. Some houses do have their small meter on the front. Most are on the side, or I couldn't even see where they are. When multifamily housing comes into rule, and now we can't rule on what people can do, only what it looks like, we need to be aware of those concerns, because obviously, if you have many people in one house, one little meter isn't going to work. We need to now think, gee, we looked out for the vents for septic, now we need to look out for those. Or maybe they're doing splits and they have, what do you call the units?
The heat pumps.
The heat pumps along the house, which take away from the appearance. I really think that we need to add onto our our application, if there's a case with where a occupancy permit is going to be needed, which would be significant renovation for an empty house or a new house, it should say that when you do your occupancy permit, it has to be approved for septic, it has to be approved for electrical. I think in those cases, it needs to be approved by the historic district, so that we can see if the details of what we have required have been met. Sometimes there's such simple things that the building inspector might not even notice, in which windows are put flush without the windowsill where they used to have a windowsill. So the window was put in as 6/6 or whatever they agreed to, and all the trim is kept as required, except that windowsill isn't there. That's not something the building inspector is going to notice.
Yeah.
So I think it would be reasonable, and we're not the enforcers, but I think it would be reasonable to inspect a house that is either brand new or had major renovations to see if all those components are there. And I think just like we have Glenn Greenwood sign off on it to say this, if it's appropriate, yes, this is allowed in the historic district.
Right.
We could add a very simple thing to the bottom of our application.
Did they meet the standard and sign off on it before Pedro can sign off?
That's
Right.
what I'm thinking.
Yeah. It's like, did they build it the way they said? And like you said, he's not gonna notice the details that may have stuck out for us, maybe?
Right. We did have a case, Lori, in which just because the board members happened to notice, an enormous change was done to the plan that we had allowed, and that was before we had a full-time building inspector, someone who didn't have enough time to do everything that needed to be done. It was a huge goof, and we caught it before it was all done, but it cost that builder time and money. I'm not saying we should oversee each step of it, but I really think before it's signed off, we should see if they've met with
Well, we had the, another one at 186, they had a garage on their property as part of.
It's not 186, because that's the one next to her house, your house,
Oh, the other
right?
one, I'm sorry, not 186, 187?
on your side of the road
On
or
my
my
side.
side?
Yeah, it's odds, yeah.
Odds, I should know that. So 187 also had, they were approved for a garage, but then the conservation or the wetlands, they were denied, not by the historic district. We approved their garage, but the conservation or wetlands protection said, you've got too much runoff, you can't do that. So they made it, the contractor just turned it into a drive-under garage.
A garage under.
And
yeah.
so that was caught by the historic district before it finished, and they fixed it. They got rid of the garage, the drive-under garage, because that's not typical in a historic, so at least that was caught, but that wasn't caught by a building inspector. So maybe that would be good if they came back and said, okay, we're done making this brand new structure or huge renovation.
So nobody's gonna go and tromp on Dan's property to see if he's got 3 rails or 2.
Right.
We might spot it or whatever, but that's not a major thing. But some of these are, and I think it would be reasonable to pay attention to that, since we don't seem to have any control over what happens. We need to have as much oversight of how it happens.
So I have a couple questions on this. So you're proposing that we added just a couple checks for like the septic vent pipe, where the panels are, that couldn't be at the end. We would have to check this stuff along the way because we couldn't.
Yeah.
And what authority do we have to do that? And if it's, say, after the fact and understanding septics can only go in a certain place on your property and they have the candy cane, what authority do we have to make them plant something to make it less, you know what I'm saying? Like, because then we're not a code enforcement body. So we have to be careful of not being the police action in this.
It would just be an alert to the building inspector.
I think that if we have, well, for one thing, I think we're getting wiser because more of these things we're paying attention to. So that would be in the plan.
Okay.
And we have told people, you need to camouflage your vent pipe somehow. So I think
we learned on that one.
I think we have authority to do
But
that.
that's not a code issue, though.
It's not a code issue, and that's, and so it's not a code violation.
And the inspector doesn't care where it's at, as long as it's existing in there.
And that was one thing that we caught here, that we stipulate in their certificate of approval, and if they don't do it, it's in the certificate, then you can say.
It's still not a code violation. So
But if
I
it's
don't.
part of the historic, if it's part of their certificate, isn't it a code? Because they have to build it if we stipulated it as a condition?
I think the code enforcement officer is following code.
Right, as long as it's existing in there, it meets code.
It meets code,
You can't
not.
spell out where it's gotta go for architectural.
Right, so I think we just need,
Or aesthetic reason.
but aesthetic is not code.
Exactly.
So we have to understand what authority we have and who would enforce it and where along the way we would, and I would not want to be in the business of policing that stuff, right? So, and I'm not disagreeing, Virginia, don't get me wrong.
I
I
think
just want to
what
make
you're
sure that we are understanding
What
what our boundaries are.
What you're saying is wise, and we need to pay attention, and that's why I'm not saying, let's put these words right on the bottom right now. But I think we need to explore that, and in fact, if someone does not do what's on their certificate of approval, and that is pointed out to them, they have to fix it. I don't know who I guess, if it isn't the building inspector who has these plans, who I assume is responsible for all of that. Is it just code? I don't know. Since we have a historic district, we say it needs to look like this. What if they put in plain glass windows instead of 6/6? Who gets to say you need to take those out and put 6/6?
Exactly, who does get to say that?
Maybe that's a question for our
They're gonna come
attorney.
here for their certificate. Right.
Yes.
And personally, I hate what they're doing in the State House. I don't want to be Massachusetts.
I don't want the federal government telling me what we can build in our town without us saying what we can build in our town. I think that every board, every member, and every person involved should push back any possible way they can. Our way is to, we want you to be in compliance with our Historical District Commission rules and regulations.
Right.
Once they come here, this guy came here, he's got 6 over 6, where's his next stop? Planning board with us, okay? And I think that we should ask the question at the planning board, is this what the Historical Commission approved? Yes, it is. I think that maybe we could lock them in there at the planning board of, you know, is it code? Don't know, don't care, but that's what I want it on the record that that's what we approved here when they come to see us there. And again, these are small things, and I think we need to start asking questions like, where's your panel gonna go? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We can't enforce it, yes, but we can ask.
Well,
and we
but
can
I think we.
insist.
Okay, I think we could ask, is there an alternative? So the house I was describing, there was no alternative. Their
Yep.
septic system had no other place to go. But generally, there's another place, someplace on your house, all 4 sides of your house, or however many you have, that electrical panels could go, even if it costs you more money.
I think you're gonna see a bigger push for more and more intrusion on not just us, but, you know, commercial. They wanna let them build whatever they want in commercial. You can't tell them what they can and can't.
Right.
You can't. That's what the State House is pushing. You know what I mean? And when they come into an historic district, I see 2 problems going forward in the future. The first is, well, it's too costly for them to do it. Okay?
That's always what
I
they
got an insurance quote on my house, unfortunately, going through that nightmare. It was $13,000, okay, a year, because I'm historic. That's gonna come to play soon, and that's gonna, you know what I mean? That they're gonna look at the State House. Well, we just don't rush out, go over their rules. We're not gonna make you do that because it's too costly, and we want housing. And how long before they come in on the lot size?
Yeah.
You know?
Oh,
Well,
that, believe me.
right, it's coming, you know what I mean, and I think we all need to be aware of that. If we can push back on our level, let's push back on our level a little bit. If it's not in code enforcement, let's just make it a suggestion. And of course, the next step, like I said, when they go to the planning board, I'm gonna discuss it with Glenn and the planning board, just to see where we can be in that process of, can we ask the question at the planning board? And I think we can.
And I'll bring it up at the next select board meeting, which is a department head meeting, so Pedro will be there. So just so we can understand, so if somebody comes in the stipulation and the certificate of approval, and we say, you know, your candy cane has to be hidden, and your heat pump has to be hidden, and, you know, your electrical panels cannot be front facing, you know, all of that stuff as examples to them, that because we're not an enforcement board, is that then up to, if the planning board approves the plans, is it then, even though it's not like in a code book, is it the code enforcement officer's responsibility to then?
I think those discussions are happening right now. I know that we're gonna have one at the next meeting because of what's going on with Lone Tree.
Right.
We're starting to put teeth into things, which I think is so gonna be necessary going forward.
Well, it's hard because we don't have, as a town, we have a fee schedule for permits, but we don't have anything in the town for penalties. So if somebody's not doing this, what are we imposing? That, you know?
We don't have any
Yeah, they've got
penalties.
nothing to lose by,
They have nothing to
They've
lose.
got
There's
nothing to
something, there's stuff written in some of the RSAs, but we don't have an ordinance that says, you know, here's your fine.
But we can't fine them, but they can file a lien though, couldn't they? For work that
Sure,
wasn't done.
but our code enforcement, at least for the time that I've been in here, which has not been very long, has been lacking in that aspect, right? We're still catching up, like our building inspector's really strong. Now it's going back and getting the code enforcement part done.
Which, with these new laws, it sounds like they're almost eliminating all local ordinances.
Well,
That's a totally different thing, and that's gonna be an ongoing battle that is not gonna stop. I mean, they're gonna, and one backdoor way in, and just be all wary of this, is they do it with the grants. You know what I mean? You took a grant, well then, read the fine print. it says that we can do an overlay in your town. What's the overlay? They're calling it workforce housing, what that latest one is, but again, it's gonna look at every piece of property. ADUs is, you know what I mean, the slow boil on that, which, again, I don't disagree with, okay, done respectfully. I mean, like this one here today, I know we're gonna be taking a look at that, only because it has a very small building, but that's a very large garage,
Yes.
okay? And things like that, we're gonna start paying attention to. Again, I'm all for stuff like that, I don't mind, to be honest with you, but we're gonna have to figure out those regulations, and code enforcement, I think, is gonna be definitely a conversation going forward on the other level of it. Right? But the State House, just this kind of stuff, if you can keep sending that around, I get the emails all the time, and I love them, because I don't have time to track them down myself, and I wish they did, but they're trying every single thing they can at that State House.
So we have 2 days left to respond to the Rockingham County Planning Commission survey. I sent to you, and I think you sent it around.
Yep, I did send
I
it.
got
And
it.
it does ask,
and I-
what are your concerns in your town, not only in your state? And a lot of them hit things that we really care about, and so I responded to that. So we have till the 15th, 2 more days to respond to that. As you might imagine, the pressure at the state level is coming from places like the New Hampshire Home Builders Association.
Of course.
Of course, and they have a meeting coming up this week that is a closed meeting. The public can't come, they can only come and present their 11 bills that they have.
Well, in California,
I'm sure there will be
from
public input
a couple of
later.
years ago,
Right now you can't.
they already did all this stuff, and they were splitting lots, single family, they were allowing them to split lots. I think they were doing that up in Portsmouth too, recently. But, so you could come in and split your lot, and you could add another whole house right on your lot. But I think they asked for leniency at a historic district, that they would be exempt from that, and they allowed it in California. That article I sent out a couple of years ago.
Yes.
So is there any way they could exempt historic districts and just say,
Well, you have to
leave
pay
those
attention-
alone?
You have
It's
to pay
coming.
attention to
Yeah.
the bills.
Absolutely, yeah, it's great.
You have to pay attention to the bills and go and speak, or speak to your representative and see which committees they're on and what they would speak for or against, if you want some of that to happen.
There was a Senate bill that was regarding how they were gonna do risk pools for health care and stuff. Anyway, the select board, the impact to towns and municipalities financially would be catastrophic for some towns, because they're just pushing the cost down. The select board chose to write a letter in opposition to it. So we could always write a letter from this historic district commission in opposition to those bills too, because, you know, the more pressure that they're hearing from towns, you know, that's always, I mean, that's always an option.
Yeah.
So I'm just, the select board chose to do that for one. That's the first time that we've done that too, so that's always a choice.
well, if they get rid of historic districts, I mean, that's our tourism, is our historic state, along with the mountains and lakes and all that, but that's another big thing, is tourism, and historic is a big part of that. So if they do away with historic districts, I would think they'd want to keep that.
Some towns have chosen to do away with the historic district. This one part of, I believe it's Hampton Falls, it said, we want to get rid of the historic district here because we want to have every business that we can to make as much money as we can. And when Deb Powers and Bernie and I presented at the state conference, planning commission conference, people came up to us and said, how did you keep your historic district? Because that was way back, just when they were starting the Heritage Commission. And we had so many, and people were saying, we're trying to get one in our town, no one will do it. We had one, it went away, how are you keeping yours? Well, we're making a lot of noise, and we're trying to be as proactive as we possibly can. And some of what I'm concerned about, Lori, is us just being more aware. If we see a house that maybe is going to be a multifamily house, then we need to be more aware where are those cooling, heating units going to be? Where is the electrical going to be? And if it can't go anywhere else, can't, like a septic system, but if it can, let's do it, so that we don't have to get in a battle afterwards.
Right.
But if I'd rather say I'm sorry than get permission, then I go ahead and do it, that happens a lot.
And I think the first, what you're right, is for us to be aware, but that the next step is understanding our boundaries, and then who is responsible for enforcement. So by talking about it at the planning board, by talking about it at the select board, making sure the building inspector, code enforcement officer, so we all understand the rules by which we have to play,
Yes, good.
right? So, okay.
So that's what I wanted to be, was current concerns.
If
I'm
you,
not making a motion of anything.
oh, yeah, I know, I get
It's
that.
a conversation to have, because it's something that every town is gonna face. And two of the saving graces is we don't have water and sewer. Without water and sewer, it's tough to, and I will never, ever, ever entertain the thought of even having that. I know it's discussed on SWA, but no. And the other is the aquifer protection. Again, it's just another backstop, another tool we get to use that, nope, can't build that. Why? It doesn't go there. Can't affect that water. Thank you very much.
Yep, they're definitely in our favor.
Almost all the ones, I didn't read all those SBs and HBs, but almost all of them would need public water and sewer.
Right?
Yes.
I don't know if they get to the point where they say you have to have it, but
Can
Well,
they make a
To
municipality?
Lori's
No.
point, it's,
I don't know.
That's millions and millions and millions of
but
dollars to put something in.
part of, unfortunately, the politics of it is one of the goals is to get rid of your town government. The other goal is to get rid of your county government. And the other, the winning goal is to have everything decided at the State House. And how do we get rid of your town government? We bankrupt. How do we get rid of your county government? We bankrupt them. How do they do that? They mandate stuff like that. So it's, conversations with Ken and you know what I mean, and Pam, that just, there are voices at the State House, and we have to voice those more and more, because that's where they're headed with this. School is another forefront of it, unfortunately, where new program, we can't afford it. Oh, we'll help you. Here, have some money. Have some more money, and oh, by the way, here are the restrictions. And that's what I've seen in other states.
okay, well, that got everybody's blood pressure going.
It's just something you got to focus on.
Yes. And now, poor Maddie, between that and doing certificates of approval, her blood pressure's way up.
Well, don't worry, the first two you get to do are for fellow board members, so
They're easy.
they'll
No,
tell you.
they're easy.
Well, they're not. Well,
So if we're done with that, it's time for public comment, of which we have none. Our public does not wish to comment. So if that's all,
I make a motion, this meeting is adjourned.
at 9:11, the meeting is adjourned.